people write review articles that are sort of state of the art. Where is the field? You know, in terms of cancer biology, cancer treatment, anything you can imagine. And they summarize what's known. At the end, they say, these are the important things that aren't known. And if those are things that interest you, then maybe that can focus your direction. Then you can go to some of the top journals. You know, they're all online now. You can read them all. And you can look at websites for different institutions that you might be interested in. But certainly our university, every department has a website that lists the research interests of every faculty member. So there's a lot of information out there. And so this would be an example of this building, which is the Life Sciences Institute. And one thing I like about this building is we have, I've got the number, 10 or 12 different programs in here. So it also gives you the potential to come up with your own program. But I'm really interested in how two different processes interact. I want to be a cell biologist who works on, you know, developmental biology. I want to be an immunologist who figures out how the nervous system affects your immune status. So sometimes you can think about creating your own niche, about combining two different things, and then you'd want to go to a place where you have lots of different opportunities to study a variety of things. So where do you start? So I think you would start by looking at a lot of the grad program websites, and as I mentioned, looking at the research interests of all the different faculty members, you know, and see what appeals to you. On their websites, they'll often list their publications, so you can go to PubMed and read the abstracts or read the articles if you're interested in. And then I think you need to be proactive. You can actually contact the potential supervisor and say, I'm interested in your research program, I've read something about it, I think it's really interesting, and ask them if they're looking for new grad students, you know, sharp new grad students, like you guys. And then you would apply to the grad program that PI belongs to. So for example, if you wanted to apply to my lab, you would apply to the Department of Microbiology and Immunology here at UBC. Okay, you would need things like transcripts and letters of reference. We'll talk a little bit about those. Okay, so contacting potential supervisors. So there are better ways and not as good ways of doing this. So the one-line email, I'm interested in your lab, do you have any space? That I sort of ignore sometimes. But if someone looks like they've done some work, I've read your research, I'm really interested in this sort of question, I've done a lot of lab work before, I've got good grades, I've taken good classes, and I'm interested in your lab, that sort of gets my attention a little bit.
Yeah. So is that too much information, like everything you say? Should that be the first email we send with all those things like the CV and everything? Are you actually going to look at that? Or it's
I think so. I don't think it hurts. You know, so if it's an attachment, you know, I don't always have to look at the attachments if I'm not interested. I mean, the first email should be maybe a couple short paragraphs. Yeah. But more than just, you know, I'm interested in your lab. Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be good. If it shows that you've made some effort and you're already thinking. So, you know, when I interview potential graduate students, the ones who come and say, you know, I've read your stuff, I've thought about it, I find this really interesting, you know, I don't really know the field, but I've got a couple ideas of my own. I think better of them than the ones who just say, I want to get a degree. What is it? What degree do you want? Doesn't matter. So that's not as, you know, the non-specific person doesn't do this either. And we'll talk more under scholarships about getting reference letters. So these are very important. And you want it to be from someone who can make very specific comments about it. So maybe your honors thesis supervisor, instructor from a small discussion class. So I often teach an immunology class that has 300 students. And the student will come up after me and say they want a letter of recommendation. And I'll have to actually say no. Because what I'll say is, I can look up what grade you got in the class and then say you got an 82 and maybe you once asked an interesting question. But that really doesn't say anything, and it's actually sort of a negative. I mean, you really want letters that can say something specific about you. And that's actually, throughout your career, you're going to need those once you're a grad student and apply for scholarships. And it's really important to sort of cultivate those by just talking to faculty members, talking to the people who teach you. So I do remember the students who come to office hours and, you know, not just the ones who have problems, but the ones that have problems, but the ones who have ideas and want to talk about it. And I can write something more specific. So it's really a good thing to do. So look for those really specific letters. Okay, so graduate students in science get paid. I don't know if you knew that. That's a good thing, right? This is expected to be a full-time job. You know, it's sort of like 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. or something. Right? Average stipend, something in here, something like that, maybe a little higher now. So not the luxurious wages, but you'll have enough peanut butter to pay. Okay, and then scholarships pay more, and so they're good to get. Makes you a hero to the lab. You're free. We can spend the money on good reagents to do experiments with. So you're a hero, okay? They'll take you out to lunch. And you often get travel funds. So my students have been all over the world. I haven't, but they have. So my students, 3 of them went to an international immunology conference in Rio de Janeiro. Another went to an autoimmunity conference in Portugal. And all the money paid by their scholarships. And, that's a really nice opportunity. So you can apply for scholarships while you're still a 4th-year student, because there's usually one deadline per year, and they're in the fall. So a lot of students will come and say, and I'll see they've got a great transcript, and they'll say, when should I apply for a scholarship? Well, you should have applied last fall when you were a 4th-year student. So if you apply as a 4th-year student, you can get a scholarship, and then you can use that to approach faculty members. And that's like, a free pass. I'd like to come to your lab, and I'm free. I don't cost anything. I have my own money. Yeah, come on. That's okay. And so you can apply, and you would know you don't have to have a supervisor in mind yet, but you can propose one, or you could have one in mind, and apply now, and you would find out by sometime in the early spring, maybe earlier, maybe early in the new year. And you can apply. We'll talk in detail about this. And you would apply through your undergraduate department, so wherever you are now. Okay. And we'll talk about NSERC and CIHR. You can apply through their websites.
Professor Gold?
Yes?
You said that scholarship provide top-ups. Do you mean like...
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't define what that was.
Yeah, like...
Okay, so normally I would pay my graduate students if they get a scholarship, at least in our department, because we're nice. They say if they get a scholarship, it would pay the normal stipend, and we'd give them a little more money. And there are situations where you can get 2 scholarships if you apply to a couple different agencies. And sometimes the second one will say, well, we already have one, but we'll give you a little more money. And so you could actually make more than just 1 scholarship. That's why we've got time.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Sorry.
You say to apply through your undergraduate department.
Yeah.
What if you decide to take a year off or 2 after your undergrad degree?
Okay, we've got something in the specific talk about scholarships exactly about that.
All right.
When that slide comes up, I'll look, it'll have the answer on it. Kelsey, what the answer is?
It depends how long you've been out of school for.
Okay.
And if you're currently taking classes or not. Even if you're taking, depends what scholarship you're applying for too. So like if you're applying for CHR and you're taking 1 course, you'll apply through your undergraduate school that you're taking the course at. If you're not taking any courses or you're taking a course at a foreign university, you apply directly to CHR, skipping the nomination through your school. NSERC is slightly different. They have like 4 steps to go through.
Okay.
It's all on the slides.
The info's on the website, and then we'll go through a slide at a time.
And I think if you're in your 4th year, I would say apply for a scholarship.
Yeah.
Even if you're planning on taking a year off or so, and if you get a scholarship, you can delay taking up the scholarship for at least a year. And I think NSERC allows you to go
Yes.
maybe a couple of years while you're trying to decide exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so now's the time. This fall is the time to apply.
You say undergraduate department. If your research is technically in a different department, it's through your university. Do you still apply for? Is it a big deal? It's through your university, or
It's just where you're registered at. So it might not even be your undergraduate department. You might do it through your grad studies department at your university. It's different per school, so contact your undergraduate department and they will tell you who to apply to.
It depends who's actually running competitions. So for example, when we have, in our department, we'll talk about this more, we have to do an internal ranking of all the people who are applying to NSERC. And that would be many of our 1st and 2nd year graduate students who are in our program already. But it would also include our undergraduates, 4th year students, who will be going either here or elsewhere, and we would rank them as well. But if you're in, say, a small department that doesn't have a graduate program and isn't doing this, you can contact the grad studies people at your university